Hey, I'm Rabbi Brian, and I have this question. What do we do with suffering? What do we do about human suffering? I don't have all the answers, but I have a little bit of an outline I want to discuss. I'm Rabbi Brian Zachary Mayer. I help the spiritual but not religious.
There's a chance that this spiritual thing might not be what you think it is.
You get to choose who you are in this world, and that's enough, and that's awesome.
The less you believe everything you think, the better.
I'm ready, you're ready, let's dive in. What do we do about human suffering? Well, there are two options. Either it has to do with God or it doesn't. Theodicy, it's a fancy word. Theodicy is an attempt to explain why bad things happen to good people. And we have a problem in monotheism. And the issue with, if you have polytheism, if you have more than one deity, then deities being at odds with each other can cause human suffering. That makes some sense. And as long as you have also a sense of a devil or a fallen angel, you can make some sense, and that kind of violates a little bit of the laws of monotheism, because now we have a separate entity acting outside of God's domain. That makes a whole lot of questions, but that's also the book of Job. And it's very hard to argue with the storyline of the book of Job, is that the accuser, which is really the only word for Satan, was a job description. An accuser became the accuser. So that's the first time in the book of Job that it becomes a job title. So the accuser, Ha-Satan, the Satan, the accuser, the adversary, makes a bet with God, and that causes Job to suffer. Let's say we don't have an idea of God, so then why suffering happen? Well, that's human stuff. So here are the two different options, and this could go with or without God. Option one, ignore the suffering. Pretend that it never happened. Just erase it. It didn't. No, what suffering? It's all for the best. Yeah, you're suffering now, but you'll be rewarded. Or chin up. Look at the positive. You know, that kind of stuff. That's ignoring it. That's trying to erase the suffering. And suffering's real. There's nothing that throws me off of a religious organization more than that Pollyanna kind of grin that everything is fine, and if you don't think things are fine, there's something wrong with you and your theology, and because we should all be good all the time, right? And we shouldn't suffer. And my religious understanding is, no, fuck that shit. We suffer. Life is really hard. Let's not ignore it. Let's not pretend like this is all really good and we all have it together. We don't. So ignore it, erase it. That's not. So the other option is to be compassionate, to plan for it, to know that this is life. That's that Buddhist notion that is so popular of a joyful participation in the collective suffering of the world, is that we know that we suffer, and let's plan that that's how the life is. Attachment leads to suffering. And let's have compassion. Let's be kind to ourselves. There's a great quote from Voltaire who says this, kind of a chilling quote, and I love it. He says, "We must not forget life is a shipwreck, and we must not forget to sing while we're in the lifeboats." Okay, so here's my question for you. What do you do with your human suffering? What do you do to deal with human suffering? You just ignore it? Or can you take it in? I vote for taking it in. I'm Rabbi Brian. If you want to find out more about Religion Outside the Box and how we create resources to empower adults in their spiritual lives, head on over to rotb.org. You can just Google Rabbi Brian or Google Religion Outside the Box, and you'll see lots of resources and things that we have to help people in their suffering. Oh, one of my favorites, there's a download on mourning. One of the most downloaded things from Religion Outside the Box, rotb.org/mourning, or you can find it in, I can't remember if it's in the tools section or in the unlearning section. Any which way, look for Religion Outside the Box about mourning, and it's just wonderful tips on how to deal with your own mourning or to send to somebody who is currently mourning.